What's going on, you guys? It is a Wednesday watch list, you guys. I'm Jayar Jackson here to go through all those news and the views of the day you guys might want to pay attention to. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. We were discussing before we came on air, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Someone just tweeted at me yesterday and said, JR, I enjoy it in the mornings. Like, you have this positive energy and yeah, cool. And you know what? Not this morning, you guys. I'm tired. I'm not like physically tired, like I didn't sleep enough. Like the energy just is kind of, there's a lid on it, and I'm trying to take it off. So to assist me in this process, I've invited Wosny Lambre on the show because he's got energy. He's a Rebel HQ contributor. My man can talk about anything from sports to foreign policy to domestic to human rights, bro. What's going on, kid?
I'm good, man. Appreciate that introduction, man. I just like running my yap. That's it. That's the long and the short of it.
Oh, the one thing we have to do on this show maybe is provide you guys with our pre-show commentary only for extra paying members. Put it that way. Maybe we'll set up an extra fund, a watch list fund for the true watchers that want to know the insane things we say before we come on, because there's a lot of insanity. Let's keep it real. We won't reveal it, Woz. We won't reveal it. But Woz did let us in on some aspects of his life that we didn't know about. Oh, well, how about that for a teaser?
That is a great tease.
I'm glad we started with a little bit of fun and chuckles, because this first block we have, I guess we'll call it the cop block, but it's a bunch of hateful, racist cops. Let's go ahead and start off the top with this one.
I don't give a fuck if you kill a motherfucker cold blood. I will articulate to fix the problem, and I'm the only man in the business here that's smart enough to do it. I have shot and killed in the line of duty 13 different people. I shot that 119 times. Okay? I mean, I saved 67 kids, and a vehicle was shot 319 times. But he was hit 119 times by me.
By me. So there's a Lexington, a police chief in Lexington, Mississippi was caught on camera bragging about how many people he has killed and how he's killed them. And of course, you saw the language that he used in talking about those folks as if they weren't real people. There's other recordings from Chief Sam Dobbins is his name, bragging about getting away with those killings as well. Not just the fact that he shot an MFer 119 times and I got him, but that he got away with it. Which of course is part of the motivations, is reasons why he feels he can do these things. Let's let him continue. Oh, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. We're gonna talk about those details. Excuse me, I thought we could listen to his racist ass some more. Instead, let's read about what he said. So this officer began to detail some of those cases that we heard there, and he's saying, I'm talking about a man had a gun, a man had to die. He described a shootout in a cornfield. Justified, bro, is what he said. I shot that N-word 119 times, okay? I saved 67 kids in a school. I chased this MFer across the field. I got him. He was DRT, dead right there, is what that means, in the field. The vehicle was shot 319 times, but he was hit 119 times by me. He said he was cleared at the sheriff's office where he worked at the time and received his gun back before he ever sat back down, something to brag about. When the subject arises of him talking to someone, he responded with homophobic slurs. I don't talk to effing queers. I don't talk to effing F words, as you can understand, is said there. Now, this audio was obtained by a fellow police officer that was sick of the culture and sick of the constant bragging, and maybe even the actions of shooting someone 119 times. Maybe it was that bothered him, but he's the one who was sick of this and that culture within the department. Let's watch some of this.
Audio obtained by the Mississippi Center for Investigative Reporting through civil rights organization Julian features a recording of Lexington Police Chief Sam Dobbins. The audio was obtained by another officer, Robert Lee Hooker, who called it, quote, appalling, racist, hateful, and detrimental to the welfare of the people. Hooker resigned from the Lexington PD last week, citing a toxic work environment. In late July, the Lexington Board of Aldermen voted to fire Dobbins. An interim police chief has since been appointed.
Yeah, more has gone from that. But the thing about this is it's for people who know or live in a small community like this, they understand who the police officers are. And apparently they've been talking about this guy for a while. Let's go to that. Julian founder Jill Cohen, Jefferson said that she knows Dobbins well and that it's definitely his voice in those recordings. She said the tape reflects a pattern of behavior by Lexington police that residents have shared in community meetings, detailing more than a dozen complaints against the police. Lifelong resident Shirley Gibson also accused police of breaking into her house on December 2nd. She said an officer caught me by my neck, slugged me on the ground. They maced me not once, but twice. They jumped on my son, they hit him, they stomped on his feet, is what she told WLBT. I'm very terrified because this isn't the first time that they did this. They did not have a search warrant. So let's just break some laws and assault people as well. Jefferson said she hasn't seen this level of callousness since Bull Connor, the commissioner of public safety who used fire hoses and dogs on children protesting in Birmingham in 1963. She said the town of Lexington never shifted from Jim Crow like other small towns. We just stopped paying attention. That part wise, I think, is very telling when it comes to all this. We hear about these stories all the time about police brutality, police being caught on camera and film saying racist things and bigoted things, and specifically about the people that they're supposed to be protecting, maybe policing and protecting the neighborhood. There's a bit of a division there, and every time we hear about who they really are, for some reason we don't connect it to exactly how they do their police work and how that transfers and the reasons why we're worried about this. But people have said it before. Look at the results. We don't say anything until someone finally gets it on tape of them actually saying it.
Yeah, and I want to admit first and foremost, I'm somebody who generally overrates the significance of, some individual hayseed, toothless in the middle of nowhere America who doesn't even live near black people and has bigoted thoughts, right? Like I tend to dismiss that kind of thing just on its face all the time. However, when it comes to, and I want to say why, like when it comes to an individual who might hold these terrible beliefs, like we have laws and we have protections on the books for people. And if that type of cat gets out of line, he will be dealt with. In the case of a freaking police officer, and more specifically a police chief who's espousing these kind of views and and bigotry, this is extremely problematic and scary, right? One, because cops are only held accountable by themselves. So there is no recourse when these dudes who have these bigoted feelings and are charged with policing a community of people, when they themselves get out of line, there is nothing to be done when they're the ones policing themselves. And then two, this guy's he's not just a cop, he's a police chief, which means that the culture of that institution flows downward from him. He's at the top. And so whatever culture he sets is gonna permeate the entire operation, and that's freaking scary. And that's why that dude has to go and might even need to be prosecuted. Who knows?
Yeah, this is a violation of his duty towards the community. People that you've assaulted within the community, and the people that you've allowed to have these types of scenarios happen within their own homes, as that one account is a violation of what you're supposed to be doing. It's a violation of your job. For some reason, more important jobs that actually affect larger communities are given less scrutiny than somebody working at McDonald's, bro. If you give away too many orders of medium fries to your buddies to drive through, you're going to get fired. For some reason, that doesn't happen when you shoot someone 119 times. And I had my gun back before I sat back down. For some reason, that's okay. Since we're talking about racist and bigoted cops, let's go ahead and shift to this next story, because as I said, it's the cop block. Let's go.
You gotta move.
Copy.
Ridiculous. Is she gonna just sit there?
Run. Copy, sir. Can you switch on to really fast?
Oh, I hate him so much. God, I hate this world. I hate him.
I guess she was done. So that person you hear in that police car, she's been given a gun and permission to shoot you if she feels like it. But right now, F the world. I hate the whole world. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Sounds like I was gonna say 10-year-old, that's too old. A 7-year-old that's ranting and raving about losing their video game privileges or something like that. I hate the world. I hate it. Wait till you guys hear excuses for why she said what she said. In fact, let's go to what she said first. So according to this internal investigation, Officer Rose Valentino, as you heard in that video, said, effing N-words. I effing hate them. Keep your mind on that last phrase, I hate them. Sounds like a bunch of people, doesn't it? At some point, police say a passing 16-year-old boy gestured to Valentino with his middle finger. In other words, he flicked her off. Valentino said that this was what prompted her to use the N-word. That came after she was mad that some lady picking up kids, again, she's next to a high school, probably picking up kids or doing whatever business she had was in the way. She's a bad driver. That was the first problem that Officer Valentino had. Then some kid flicked her off, and then she went into this tirade. So according to this report, Valentino, who is white, said that she does not have any racial biases that have affected her work and told investigators that she does not use racial slurs. Speaking this month to CPD's internal investigation section, this is up in Cincinnati, you guys, Valentino said she doesn't use racial slurs and has no racial biases. She also said effing N-words was not intended to refer to all African Americans, but was specifically and narrowly in reference to the teenager walking down the sidewalk after school. How about that first graphic? You guys don't have to bring it up, but I'll read it again. According to that internal investigation, Officer Rose Valentino said effing N-words. I effing hate them. Except there's this one teenager who flicked her off, and apparently that's the reason. It gets worse. So the officer also said that she's been desensitized to racially offensive language by music and hearing people talk on the street. That's why she did it. Currently, her punishment is that her police powers have been suspended. This is pending a disciplinary hearing, is what City Manager John Kerp said. Interim Police Chief Teresa Thieck signed off on this internal review on Monday. Officer Valentino will not be on city streets in uniform, wearing a badge or carrying a firearm, is what she said in that statement. So Waz, there's more on this woman, but first, let's go through the first wave of her in her car ranting and raving because a kid flicked her off, but it's just him she was talking about.
Yeah, that is like a cartoonish response to that, right? One kid who, I don't know about you, Jayar, but when I was young, flicking people off is what young kids do to everybody. So one kid doing that, normal behavior basically for teenagers of all shades and colors, doing that, basically condemning a whole race or group of melanated people to damnation is kind of crazy. And look, somebody does this, you gotta take them off the street. You gotta take their badge away and just put them on desk duty, man. You don't gotta lose your job, but you don't get to carry a gun and a badge on the streets and police people and be an authority figure in the community because you clearly have these anger issues. And yeah, I recently rewatched The Wire to commemorate 20 years of The Wire. They got to put on desk duty like Presbeluski, man. That's just what has to happen.
I still haven't seen The Wire. I tried. I don't know, bro. If I tell you why, everyone's gonna be mad at me. So let's go back to Officer Valentino because again, maybe this is just a slip up. Some people may want to defend her and say, you know what, she was just ranting, raving in her car. Haven't you ever had a little bit of road rage when someone isn't moving out of the way and you're like, move out of the way, and scream and call them a couple of names? Except those words are not in her vocabulary until they became in her vocabulary because she's been listening to people say it on the streets. Oh, and all that rap music that she's listening to. I feel like this wasn't even a very, I feel like she kind of mailed in this defense. She's like, yeah, you got me. Let me just say the standard things and see if you guys let me off the hook.
Rap music made me do it. Duh, everybody knows that. That's the tried and true excuse for everything. Rap music made me do it.
It made me do it. Now, does it bleed into her work as an officer? Well, I think we should find that out because back in 2018, she and a partner showed up at a house after they were called there. That's the first problem. After they were called there because two black men were inside. Let's go to that video, and I want you guys to show you from her body cam evidence, her perspective, and what they did. Watch.
Pete, they're right up by your window. I'll order him to come out.
Hey guys, come on out. Tell Knox coming out front.
Knox! Hands up!
Hands up, what y'all doing?
Tell your friend to come out too. Hands up.
Come on out, man. We got an appointment to see this out. Well, people saw you forcing your way in. That's why we're here.
Oh man, I don't know. They just white people calling the goddamn police doing that bullshit. I ain't even gonna buy that house.
Being a good neighbor, you see somebody going into a house.
I ain't gonna buy the house. I ain't even gonna buy it.
How'd you just get in?
He a realtor.
Turn around. So we can confirm. Turn around.
That's lost right there. Don't even worry.
Until we can confirm. Did you use a key?
Yeah, you use the key.
Where's the key at? All right. Where at?
Don't even worry. It's lost key.
Okay.
So if
Have a seat.
we was white, they wouldn't have did this.
So what are you talking about, man? That's some
You got some type of realtor ID on you?
I don't know if you guys know this, but black folks are X-Men, and what they can do is they can morph through walls without keys or accessibility into buildings. That's why she asked him, "Did you use a key to get into the house?" Because there's no signs of break-ins or anything like that. But how did you get in the house? Because you're a black person. Let's go to some details of what happened here. This is back in 2018, but 3 police officers and the city of Cincinnati back in are being sued after a realtor and his client were held at gunpoint, as you saw, handcuffed and questioned while viewing a home in West Price Hill. According to the lawsuit, a retired police officer, Thomas Brannigan, called 911 and reported, quote, 2 black males forced the front door open. Brannigan said that the house is for sale, but it's not an open house today. They pulled on the front door and forced it open. Pause, because at one point, the prospective buyer there was arguing with the other cop, and he said, white people always pulling this BS. They're calling this on black folks because we're in the house. I'm not even gonna buy this house. Look at this messed up neighborhood. And that other cop said, you don't know our job. How do you know what we do in our job every day? What do we do with our job? Yet Thomas Brannigan somehow can call 911 and say, yeah, that house is for sale, but there's no open house today. Is that your business? Is that your job? Do you know the open house schedule for that house because you're a realtor, or are you a retired police officer that can't sit your ass down and watch Maury Povich? Okay. More. The lawsuit states that pointing a gun at and handcuffing them in was unwarranted, and that searching Isham's pockets while he was handcuffed was a warrantless search. By the way, there was a lot more to that I cut out. The men also say that they were held against their will, and that 7 body camera records, which were supposed to be retained by the city, were destroyed, bro. 3 days after the suit was filed, the city of Cincinnati apologized and announced a $151,000 settlement, which I think is way too low. But again, the citizens have to pay for that, which is part of this problem. But they settled for just over $150,000 with these guys who they harassed. This is Officer Valentino, who was just screaming in her car about effing N-words and I effing hate the world. And it's just about that one 16-year-old kid. Yet this is her history. Last thoughts there was?
I mean, what is there to really say? Like, 2
crazy.
Black guys walk into an open house. Literally, the neighbor knows that the house is for sale, so people are looking at it to buy, and he calls the cops because they're black. There's nothing to analyze here. It's right on its face. This isn't even like that covert sort of sneaky clever racism. This is just straight up and down Jim Crow. Like there's no 2 ways about it.
This is Cincinnati, you guys. This is Cincinnati.
The natty.
Just in case you thought this was Mississippi, Georgia, Texas, Alabama. No.
Difference.
This is, I wish more people would realize that. Last things on her, and then we're gonna go to our break. Because it's not the first time she's been investigated. In 2019, police say that she improperly showed body camera footage from a homicide scene to family members over dinner. That's a good idea. In 2020, she was arrested in Butler County for punching her sister and brother-in-law, then vandalizing her sister's car with an umbrella. Also, Valentino has also been in trouble at least 3 times for not turning on her body camera, including twice while she was chasing suspects. So again, those things weren't necessarily directly connected to her racism, but she's just a generally angry person who cannot control her emotions, especially her anger, and ends up doing things like this. Good job.
We gotta get her off the streets. Yeah, throw her in evidence. No, you can't even do evidence control. You gotta be straight up desk duty, paper pushing. That's it. You're done. No action for you.
There's been too many of these instances. And by the way, last thought. I'm sorry, you guys. Listen, whenever people start talking about defund the police or revamping of police procedures or changing who's the head of these departments and the way that they approach policing, and people's heads explode. This is why we do these stories. This is why we talk about these instances that happen over and over and over again. This is not the first time we've seen cops show up on a scene when two black folks are inside of an open house for a prospective buyer and guns are drawn and they ask them, how did you get here? A neighbor called and said you broke in. This is not a new scenario. It's the regular standard operating procedure. And until we change that, it'll continue to happen. So when you see these stories and go, yeah, Officer Valentino, bad person, move on. This is not a one-off occurrence. This is all of the time. This is why there needs to be revamping of the police department. Think about that first story we just did and this one now. A police chief, a police officer, and there's a standard way that they operate. Until you change that, it'll continue to happen. It means you support this type of stuff. Do you? Ask yourself that question as we go to this break. But when we come back, did we lighten this up yet? A little bit, I guess. We got some Donald Trump supporters in their insanity at a rally. It's gonna be great. We'll do that when we come back.
All right, well, the Young Turks special election day coverage dropping.
An amazing power panel.
Look at this panel. You want to talk about power?
Like a smart Destiny's Child.
We're all too strong.
We start a revolution. Yes, another one.
Aren't you excited?
Wow.
And then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, everybody! Yay!
You know, this is where it started in a lot of ways.
Why is he lying? Because these are acts that you can commit with impunity.
Most of us are usually in boxer shorts underneath.
I went with the pants today. This is the first ever power panel with Donald Trump as president.
We have elected the top Twitter troll in the country.
We have to stop pretending that race is not an issue in this country.
Now keep in mind, racism had gone away until Barack Obama brought it back.
That's right.
They want to protect life so much that they want to ensure that insurance companies don't cover your maternity care. You don't see a lot of news coverage in the mainstream media of the peaceful Black Lives Matter protests that happened throughout the country.
Black Americans are hurting. Minorities in this country are hurting.
We always talk about starting from the bottom up, but the problem is the bottom up is always the least amount of power. No one cares about them, and until someone actually cares about them, then we'll do something about it.
Please, for God's sake, America, understand, acknowledge, and work towards getting to a new reality where Black lives actually matter.
Watch this, you guys. Comments. TYT members. I love this comment. Dana Manning. I guess the rest of her title is Guardian something. I'm sorry, it got cut off. But she said, we need a hot mic day on the watch list. Oh, you do not. Well, maybe you do, but we don't. Come on. Rebel Dragon says, wow, more Waz. Ended my TYT day yesterday with Waz. Then woke up to start my day with Waz. Oh, and hi, JR.
Also, I'll be on Dr. Richie Indisputable tomorrow. So yeah, I'm just a heavy dosage. Try not to overdose, y'all.
If only you knew. YouTube super chats, you guys. Ninja Near, I think is what it is. There's ones and there's threes in there. It's a bit of it's an internet thing you guys got going there. Anyways, YouTube super chat, thank you guys for the super chat. Says, some like your high energy, while I appreciate your tired, calm vibe. Love the show, happy Waz Day. I like that, Waz Day. Also, Jacqueline McFarland says, rap music made me do it. That's the same excuse I got from the 8-year-olds that called my daughter the N-word. Utter nonsense. It's almost like they never grow up and get past that same age. Thank you guys for those comments. We'll jump to Twitch soon. Also, Emilio, keep those coming. I want to see what everyone has to say. I may jump to it at any point. Let's go on to this next block because it's crazy.
A bonfire of conspiracy theories.
Have you watched the January 6th hearings?
I have.
What do you think?
I think they're a bunch of...
Why?
Well, because do you have both sides, or are you getting one side of the story?
You mean like the side that attacked the Capitol?
You really believe that happened?
I was there.
Okay. I have a lot of people that were there, too. And saw things that it wasn't what they say it was.
But there's been hundreds of Trump supporters now charged. A lot of them have pled guilty.
And do you think it's right for those people to have those people in jail and not get any justice in our American system? Are you kidding me?
Do you think it was right that they attacked the Capitol?
They didn't. That was an inside job, buddy.
Were you guys able to follow that? CNN's correspondent Donnie O'Sullivan did go to this Trump rally and ask people about January 6th, specifically since this January 6th hearings are coming out exposing all of this madness, all the things that they really didn't think happened with absolute precise detail. That's why many of them wouldn't watch. And the ones that have watched, of course, gave excuses like that. It's Antifa, it's BLM, or it just didn't even happen. There's more. Let's watch.
Have you guys been watching the January 6th hearings at all?
No.
No?
No, we saw it when it all went down, and then we saw like a lot of the BLM and the Antifa people in the building as well, and it's just nonsense.
But I think like 800 people now have been charged, right?
Yeah.
None of them are Black Lives Matter or Antifa.
Yeah,
They're
that doesn't
not
mean
charging
anything.
them.
That doesn't mean
They
anything.
have not been brought into court for their due process because they have not been arrested.
Hunter Biden hasn't been arrested.
Trump has told lies about the election in that he said he didn't really lose. Do you think that all the lies about the election are damaging for American democracy?
You believe he lied?
Do you not?
No, I do not. I don't. Why he won?
But these are no longer fringe ideas. A majority of Republicans do not believe Biden legitimately won the election.
So it's not just these folks at these rallies. There's more, but there's plenty there already.
Yeah, again, like people got to understand, and we talked about this yesterday too, is that these people, like if you get your typical MSNBC soccer mom who like loves Rachel Maddow, she spends an hour on Maddow. She might listen to NPR and move on with her day. These people listen to hate radio, talk radio all day. They're on the internet. They're watching Fox News. Like they're immersed in the propaganda. Like it's being washed over them in a way that's distinct from how people on our side consume their news. So I'm not surprised that they've been deluded by all that constant propaganda and messaging from the right wing. Only thing I would say, I wish that that dude would have asked him, all right, we get it, you love Trump, you think he does everything right. Like, what do you want out of this country? Like, I would love for him to have asked him, like, what do you expect from a president? What do you expect him to do for you policy-wise? Like, would you like better healthcare? Like, do you think the infrastructure in your community is good? Like, are you satisfied with your job and your pay and shit and stuff like that? Like, I would have loved to see the part 2 of that. But yeah, these people being completely deluded and like, on one hand, it didn't happen. On the other hand, it's like inside job. Like I don't know what to do with this.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It just doesn't.
Because what they do, what I'm gonna do is follow the lead of the person who told them what to say, from the pundits to the politicians, and specifically their king, Donald Trump. Whatever he tells them to do. You understand? Every time you watch any of these, it's always a bit of a I guess a 75% version of the things that Donald Trump says, because they can't specifically completely get the whole stupid thought. So they get like the majority of the stupid thought. Then when a follow-up question is asked, there's absolutely no response because they haven't been told what to say yet. This is one part about that. I'm glad you pointed out that maybe what is it that they want. This is how I believe he's gotten these folks to this point. He started his entire thing with the racism. Anybody that wants to promote their racism or feel more comfortable with it after it's been maybe suppressed a bit, what they've gotten is their new identity. He represents them and their racism. Once he's got you as that's your identity, he is me. Every time he does something, you can't detach yourself from because that's you. You have to defend it no matter what. So, did he lose? I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I was there too, and he said he didn't lose, and so that's why he didn't lose. It doesn't have to make any sense because that's your identity. So he's connected them to their ridiculous arguments, which are his. And then they'll take it to the death, which many people we saw on January 6th decided to do. There was one person at Pence's rally, maybe that's the reason for it, because Donald Trump did turn on his vice president, that O'Sullivan did also talk to, who had a slightly different opinion about the president as all this is falling apart. Let's watch this clip.
I voted for Trump twice. If Mike Pence runs, I'm voting for Mike Pence.
Okay, so why is that?
I just think that, everyone's seen the January 6th committee. He stood up for democracy that day. He's like, I'm not leaving the Capitol because I need to be here. And he was the one that was making phone calls to the military and trying to fix the situation while Trump was crying in the dining room. It doesn't matter if it was stolen or not. If the Republicans want to take back the House and take back the Senate and then eventually the White House, they need to move on.
Slightly different opinion there, because even if it was stolen, which it might have been, I think you still might have been. Mike Pence is different. What are your last thoughts on this, Wise?
Just the idea of Mike Pence running for anything at this point is laughable. Like, nobody wants that dude. No Republican base has any passion for a milquetoast Mike Pence. And my final thought is just, I think our politics have just devolved to a place where these politicians are like your favorite pro wrestler, essentially, right? And viewers, just bear with me quickly. Like, if you're a heel, like a villainous pro wrestler, you might during a match illegally obtain a chair from the bottom of the ring and smack the dude over the head that you're fighting, the good guy, the baby face, to win your match, right? And it's like, oh my God, that's heel behavior. However, when you're a wrestling fan, if you happen to root for somebody who's a baby face and he does that same illegal thing, you don't care. You're just like, he's doing it in service of good guy, intentions. So It doesn't matter if it's the same exact act. It doesn't matter if it's an impure act, as long as my wrestler, my favorite person does it, in service of pursuing their goals, which because they're the person I root for, everything they pursue is righteous. It doesn't matter. And I think that's what you're seeing with our politics. Like, nothing these dudes matter does, nothing they do matters, because folks are just rooting for them as if they were their favorite wrestler or celebrity or, Alabama football. It's weird.
Yeah, there's this weird competition, especially when it comes to this two-party system, is that's my team, and no matter what, I'm rooting for it. Except we've got this level. I'm glad the wrestling reference came in, because it's that base level of screaming and my guy and attacks and violence. That's what gets people going. Let's start moving, you guys. I'm sorry we're moving kind of slow. Let's get through some of these other things. Back on the Roe versus Wade debate, but also in state houses where they're dropping down rules. Let's go to this exchange and story here.
Under the bill, as it stands right now, there's no requirement that there be charges of rape or incest filed. However, they're asking for an abortion under this bill. We're saying we want some documentation of what occurred that justifies an abortion.
There's Indiana State Senator Sue Glick. She's such a horrible person. She has no idea how horrible she is and how much she really doesn't care about human life. Weird, because this is a Senate committee debate on a bill to ban all abortions except in cases of rape or incest. That's the sticky point that many conservatives want nothing to do with. Now, she was arguing to force rape victims to sign an affidavit so they can prove that they have been assaulted before that they receive care. So her colleague, Senator Greg Taylor, a Democrat, asked her a very simple question. And this next exchange is very telling. He asked her, how does this amendment address the problem of the criminal in this situation? We're talking about rape. and incest. How does this bill address that, and how we make sure that those are monitored, people have been reported, and that crime is then pursued, I guess is the question. But Glick couldn't find the real criminal in this scenario between a rapist and his victim. Watch this exchange.
So you just brought up my next question. Where's the enforcement part of this?
Lying under oath is illegal.
No, not to the victim of the rape or incest, to the person who committed it.
If they're lying, and someone could prove that they're lying, then there are repercussions. But we don't.
Senator Taylor, the commission of a rape is in Title 35.
But this doesn't lend itself to anybody reporting to an authority that this person has been raped or victim of incest. There's nothing that requires the person to report this. And I'm asking why there is not that consideration in this amendment.
It's not required under this. If you want to amend the amendment, I guess that's up to you.
In other words, I don't care. If you guys didn't follow that, he asked her 3 times, I believe, hey, what about the rapist? What part of this amendment has anything with addressing the rapist? And she kept going back to the victim of that rape or incest. Well, if she's lying, then she's gonna be busted under oath. Well, I mean, she's gotta get the affidavit. But that criminal, she can't separate that she believes a victim of a rape or an incest is the actual victim. That victim, is actually the culprit. That's the way they're approaching legislating. That's why, again, really fast was this committee passed her amendment by 7-5 vote. The accompanying bill banning nearly all abortions was also later passed by the committee by another 7-5 vote. Lastly, another amendment passed by the committee would give rape or incest victims over 16 years of age 8 weeks to request an abortion. Victims who are under 16 years would have 12 weeks. That's what they decided after all of that was.
Yeah, I just think you see where the priorities are for this government official. It's the real crime here is the person trying to obtain an abortion.
Yep.
Everything else is ancillary. Everything else is collateral damage. It's outside of the scope of what matters here. What matters is a woman who wants her bodily autonomy trying to obtain an abortion. We don't care about the other stuff. We're focused on abortions, rape, incest, whatever. Have at it. Go ahead. It's great. We love it. Obviously, she didn't go so far as to say that, but that seems to be your attitude when she couldn't even fathom that this, like she couldn't understand the question. Like, yeah, what do you mean there's something else to consider? There's a person trying to get an abortion here. Like, what are you getting at? I can't even think of anything in the case of a rape or incest. I can't think of anything that would be more important than preventing the abortion.
The rapist is invisible.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the rapist is invisible to them because they can't stop focusing on who they hate. This is based in hatred and control over certain people. That's narrow tunnel vision in all of these bills. But of course, across states like Indiana, I want to point out again, because I said it when that little girl from Ohio had to escape Ohio to go to Indiana to receive her services after being impregnated by her rapist. She went to, I believe it was Indiana. I'm sure they'll correct me if I'm wrong. Indiana, and I said, calm down before we get to kissing Indiana's ass, because they're working on screwing this whole thing up. Trust. I'm glad she got there before they got to this point. Let's go to our next story. We're going to change up a little bit because road rage incidents are constant everywhere in the country. This is crazy, though.
Okay, this is my turn.
There you go. That's down in Houston, Texas. Those two folks standing outside of the big black truck got to shooting. That woman there, as you saw, first off, shot in the back of that silver car that also carried a 2-year-old kid, and a shot again across anywhere that she wanted, just randomly hoping to hit that same target. Let's watch that again in case you guys missed it. From the very beginning, as she got to shooting inside that car, and then the guy took off to save his and his child's life. Watch again. So 2 people have been charged after this road rage shooting left a man injured in North Harris County Tuesday afternoon. Sheriff Ed Gonzalez with the Harris County Sheriff's Office said the victim and his 2-year-old son were driving northbound on I-405 near 1960 when they noticed they were being followed by 2 people. When both vehicles came to a stop, Gonzalez said Benjamin Green, who's reportedly a Navy veteran, exited his vehicle and approached the victim and started assaulting him. As the victim tried to leave, Nasli Ortiz, who was a passenger in Green's vehicle, allegedly exited the car and shot into the backseat window, probably where the 2-year-old was. The victim continued to drive, and Gonzalez said the woman fired a second shot, as you guys saw there, striking a nearby dealership building. I did notice there was a bit of a car dealership back there behind. I said, so she's just shooting indiscriminately across the road into other buildings where people potentially are hanging out, where there's cars, other cars around, just because she's upset about something. Okay, and lastly, Ortiz has been charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and Green has been charged with assault. The couple appeared in court on Wednesday morning. Bond amounts for Ortiz and Green have not yet been decided. Texas was. You gonna move down there anytime soon?
Responsible gun ownership strikes again.
Right.
JR. And look, man, let's see, it's simple. Lock these folks up, prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. They gotta go to the pokey. I'm sorry, this is about as reckless as it gets. You shoot into a vehicle where there's a baby. Like, that's about as disgusting and reprehensible as it gets. It's about as bad as it gets. Lock this woman up. I don't want to hear it. She got to sit down, and her man, muscle neck that he is, he needs to sit down as well. We're done. This is craziness.
There's absolutely no reason basis
also,
for this.
These folks need to have their rights to lawfully carry a weapon be stripped from them. Okay,
red flags.
Because this is, you have demonstrated you are irresponsible when in possession of a firearm. You no longer get to have that. We take we take voting rights away from people for selling weed. You can't even, participate in democracy for selling weed or, all kinds of transgressions. These people should not be allowed to possess guns for doing this. I'm sorry, this kind of got me riled up.
Anybody who defends this type of stuff should be asked again, are these responsible gun owners? Because that's always the line. Responsible law-abiding gun owners. Are they law-abiding anymore? Are they responsible? They were law-abiding before they broke the law with their guns, which gave them the reason they think they could break that law with that gun, because that's their power piece. That's what gives them, apparently, their courage, which means they have none of it. Shooting a 2-year-old and someone else because you were following him on the road. I don't know the details of why they were following or if they actually were following him, but I don't think guns were needed. Let's start moving again. There was stuff that went down with Trump and his people versus SEIU. This is crazy. This happened at a one particular conference. Let's watch.
Do not touch her. Don't touch her.
Pay attention to those guys, those roided out guys in green polos that are 2 sizes too small as we go through this story, because they apparently are hired security by the Trump Save America PAC at an event that they were having at the same hotel that these SEIU members were having. just randomly, but let's go to details of what happened here, because this footage was sent to Raw Story by a 26-year-old Mackenzie N, who works at the Services Employees International Union, SEIU, showed a group of protesters being attacked by a group of men. The protesters were shouting, as you heard, "No Trump, no KKK, and Fascist USA." They put out a banner that said, "Indict Trump." Again, in the area where they are allowed to be, where they paid to be. At least two white men in green shirts, beards, and man buns grabbed the "Indict Trump" banner and stormed off while hotel security ran towards the scene, as you saw on the back end of that. McKenzie described the men as, quote, hired goons of Trump's. But SEIU was able to confirm from the hotel that the security were actually hired by the America First nonprofit group to run security for their event, The SEIU staff were holding their conference on what appeared to be the second floor, while the America First conference was on the first floor. That's according to McKenzie, the woman who took those videos. The America First attendees had to walk through their area to get to the small America First meeting, which I think was a bit of a logistics problem there. Again, these goons that were hired to run security for the America Save Pack stuff, here, let's check them out in this clip. They're trying to enter the SEIU conference and tell them what to do as if there's some kind of security for the entire hotel. So let's watch that.
So it doesn't matter. Right now, we're going on? Time to go. I'm telling you guys.
Sir, you can no longer film. Sir.
This is our area. We pay for.
That's great. You've also been uninvited.
Okay, get away from here. Thank you.
They were.
Oh, well, they gotta go.
We have a right to be here.
But
This is our area.
which area is yours? This area or all day? That area is all day. It's not short.
Actually, we did pay for we had like food and stuff out here.
Sir,
This is
sir,
technically our.
you don't have the right.
Oh, I don't know.
So let's recap that last part. There's more guys in those green polos running up in the SEIU area, telling them they can't be here, you can't film, what are you doing? That's not your area, that's not your security arena. But there's this privilege that's involved. They think, I can tell people what to do, and then when finally someone pushes back, they have to run off. And lastly, you saw those police and actual security folks that were for the hotel telling the SEIU folks, well, maybe you guys should stay in the room. Hell no, we paid for all of this. Why are you running these roided, bald-headed, red-faced people off? Weird how that works, Waz.
Yeah, it's sad. These are just hired thugs and goons, as you said. It's funny that the name of their pack has America in it, because they clearly hate and can't stand all of the ideals that America stands for. Like, these people are just exercising their right, freedom of speech, freedom to protest. They're doing it in a lawful, contained area. They're just letting themselves be known. They're not hurting anybody. They're just saying words, holding up signs. You might disagree with those signs, but this is America. People are allowed to do that. And these goons, they just hate it. They hate that. They don't want to see that. And honestly, they're the most unpatriotic people that we have in this country.
Oh, and this is the thing, just because you wear a green American flag on your arm, as you saw from their uniforms there, and walk around saying, we're private security for America First.
It's just G.I. Joe cosplay.
It's crazy.
It's stupid. It's ridiculous.
And look, there's a uniform involved outside of the clothes. You have to be have a certain level of roids involved, a certain level of gym membership involved. You notice that there's a look. There's nothing that's accidental about the kind of force that they've put together. They're supposed that the whole point is to walk through people's groups, tell them what they're gonna do, and then act like you're gonna do something about it. And hopefully maybe someone will get mad enough at you to hit you in your chin. And then there's a whole thing going on. It's self-defense. Now we have to assault people. It's always the same playbook, but it always starts with them rushing up. Now the angry part came from them because there was chants and there was banners and they were dropping flyers down, right? That's what they were so upset about. I thought this was America. No, let's keep it real. That's not what they were there for. Let's take a couple more viewer comments, you guys. We have a couple seconds for this. I don't hear from you guys enough. Over at 2x2 members, Shakata Gainai. I feel like I messed it up. I haven't heard from you in a while. It says, quote, it didn't happen, but if it did happen, which it didn't, it was an inside job. Of course, Farrell, Portugal, Blue Blazer regular says, kind of wondering, did the guy direct the picking up of the shell casings? That's the shooting that happened in the road rage incident outside. Clearly, this wasn't his first rodeo or attempted murder. As was pointed out, I think he's a veteran, a Navy veteran. So, I mean, I think he was, it seemed from what I saw, she was shooting. He's like, give me the damn gun. Jesus. Because I think he saw exactly where this was going and how they were going to be arrested, as they should, for this entire incident. I'm not sure how comfortable he feels around someone that's willing to brandish a firearm and just shoot it wherever and however. That's how crossfire happens. Over on Twitch, Vry Dragon says, TYT continues to be my greatest motivator as I study and work towards leaving this failed state of a country. Jesus, we're running you out of here, bro? Sorry to hear that. I have a question for Waz. This is from Galfar71 over on Twitch. I have a question for Waz then. You ready? If the maggots watched Fox News and other far right-wing news media 24/7 is bad, then what does me being here on TYT Twitch for 10 to 12 hours a day make me?
No, this is the good cult. This is the fun cult where you get to have orgies and it's with consenting adults. It's not the bad ones where they're like committing crimes and stuff. This is a good cult, guys.
We're working on it. I need to read this one because I figure this is a thought and I understand it. Over on Twitch again, CPrince686 says, JR, you're amazing. And even though I do it constantly, we got to try to stop making fun of, quote, dumb accents, as I did in that first story with the guy said 119 times, right? That's how he sounded, am I right? Cool. By the way, what you're saying is valid. I never said he was dumb. I never said that accent was dumb. Yes, that's what's taken as that's what it is, and it's baked into it. But it just goes to show, maybe it's because society does this and we push that accent to it. It's just more of an insular, not well-versed type of accent that has never seen anyone else or doesn't care to understand anyone else's humanity. It just kind of seems to be packed around certain types of groups in certain areas of the country, a lot more than others. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, I understand, and I'll work on that too, because yeah, sure, people without that Southern accent can also be just as horrific. Nate Jelly says, TYT JR, can I get a hello baby Mia, please? My 3-month-old niece keeps smiling every time she sees you. Well, what's going on, Mia? Hi, Mia. I'm sure you're not smiling now because we're talking about some horrific things. In fact, let's wrap it up with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Speaking of horrific things, let's jump to this last story.
Of course, monkeypox is a threat to some people in our population, but we know what causes it, and that's pretty much it's basically a sexually transmitted disease. So it's not a threat to most of the population, and so it's not a global pandemic. It's really not, and people just have to laugh at it, mock it, and reject it. So I think it's another scam.
It's another scam. Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about monkeypox and how it's now getting more news time because of the spread that's happening, but it only affects a certain few kinds of amounts of people. Pay attention to what she's saying and what her understanding of this is at that particular point, because it's only apparently affecting gay people. So that's why we really shouldn't care. Either we shouldn't care or is it a scam? It doesn't matter. Throw all of the negative terms at it you can and see which one of your followers will pick up on it. So again, it just affects gay people. So why did she tweet this out 2 days after questioning this monkeypox as an STI? Why is it that it's affecting all of these children as well? Let's watch that.
We do have seen now 2 cases that have occurred in children. Both of those children are traced back to individuals who come from the men who have sex with men community, the gay men community. And so when we have seen those cases in children, they have generally been what I call adjacent to the community most at risk.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted that and asked, well, how come the director of the CDC is talking about affecting children if it's such an STI? Which one is it, Marge? She can't keep her thoughts from one day to the next when it comes to disparaging certain things or trying to ingest some kind of distrust in normal processes or just normal notifications to the public of what's happening and how to avoid it and how they're going to treat it. Somehow that's a bad thing. And let's try to shoot holes into that just for the purpose of making sure people have zero trust in the government, in the things that are happening, and information is the main thing that she wants distrust in. Here's what we know about this threat of monkeypox and its spread that Marjorie Taylor Greene can't figure out. Monkeypox is rapidly spreading throughout the globe. Since May, there have been 16,836 recorded cases across 74 countries. And as of July 22nd, according to the CDC, the World Health Organization has declared the outbreak a global health emergency as cases continue to spread. Again, a global health emergency. You'll hear Marjorie Taylor Greene say, we're tired of this and it's another pandemic. Nobody said it's a pandemic. They said be aware, understand how it's spread, and maybe avoid it. It's really weird how those things are seen as a negative. But again, the whole point is to sow distrust in the people who are telling you information so that there was something else that's going to hurt her politically. She wants to make sure that you don't believe those folks that are telling you the truth was.
Yeah, I mean, this is her bag, the conspiracy bag, the misinformation bag. And of course, because she's a right winger, they no longer do the dog whistle stuff. They know that people have already associated this monkeypox affliction with being gay. And so she knows that she can attack it because that's what right wingers do. It's not even like implicit; it's explicitly attacking gay people and to say, "Look, normal right wingers, you guys are normal people, God-fearing, great people. You don't have to worry about this monkeypox thing. It's just affecting this god-awful population who we already hate. So just ignore it. You don't have to care about this. Keep it pushing. It's sad,
their fault. It's their fault. They're gonna die anyway. Who cares about them? That's the basis, and she understands that. But at the same time, first hating on those folks, and then also saying that the information that's coming out is fake. And I forget the term she used. It's a fraud or it's a scam. Have at it. What kind of legislating has Marjorie Taylor Greene been doing? Ask yourself that every time you hear any stupid things come out of her face. That does it for this watch list, you guys. Thank you for joining me on a Wednesday. Thank you, Waz, for being here. I think you brought the energy back. I'm back. I'm here. And it's good that I'm back and I'm here because I'm going to show up on the Damage Report in just a few minutes to join John Aderola to talk about more news and more craziness of the day. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow for a Thursday watch list. Again, thank you for being here. We'll see you guys later.